ang dugo'y maharlika, likas sa aking puso at likain kay kanda.
Welcome to Fil-Am Radio Show by Rainier Avenue Radio App. Hosted by Bert Kawili, Miles Salvador, Vicky Navarro, Togs Kawili. Watch and listen to the live stream in the Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Welcome to the Fil-Am Radio Show, broadcasting live every Tuesday from 1 o'clock to 2:30 Pacific Time here through the magic of StreamYard and the facilities of Rainier Avenue Radio World from Seattle, Washington. And my name is NorbCam Kawili, along with my co-hosts.
Hi everyone, Vicky Navarro here.
At ako po si Kuya Bert Kawili, broadcasting live from Manila, Philippines. Actually, Baliwag, Bulacan, Philippines.
All right, and I myself am broadcasting here from Renton, Washington. And as you know, this show is internet-based, so you can, if you're watching it right now, you're watching it live, or you can always watch it later through the Rainier Avenue Radio World website, or on their YouTube channel, or on the Facebook pages of Bert Angels or Vicky Navarro as well. Our show is in Taglish. Today it'll actually be mostly English, since our special guest is an English speaker. But sometimes when we do have Filipino guests, we mix a little Tagalog English so that both of our audiences who speak Tagalog and English can understand the show. So for right now, relax. This is going to be a very fun show because today we are doing a very special Earth Day presentation. But before we get into that and before we meet our special guest, our program always starts with a prayer and ends with a prayer. I'm going to go to my dad, Kuya Bert, to do the honors.
Heavenly Father, as we start our weekly broadcast, we pray that you bless our friends, supporters, and those we care deeply for, especially those who will be watching our program wherever they are around the world. Lord, we pray for peace in ourselves, in our homes, our friends, and for the whole world. May love, humility, forgiveness, and peace dwell and reign in our hearts from this day forward. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all.
Yep, good to see you all. I know I have sent you a guide for our broadcast, but let's just play it by ear. Let's do the best we could because we have a very special guest. And Norb, maybe before we let our special guests come in, you and Vicky could take turns just kind of telling the world who is our guest.
Sure. Well, I'll go ahead and do the initial introduction, then I'll toss over to Vicky to kind of get the question and answer going. But as part of Rainier Avenue Radio's dedication to Earth Day, or more than Earth deserves more than a day, we also have a special program today dedicated to protecting the environment. So our special guest today is Dr. Nancy Messmer. Dr. Messmer is a retired, welcome to the show, Dr. Messmer. Let me finish introducing you here so that everybody kind of knows a little bit about you before we jump into the interview. But we're glad to have you on the show. Dr. Messmer is a retired K through 20 educator. She's an active volunteer, currently working as Lions Club International Multiple District 19 Environment Chair and hosting monthly meetings on Zoom focused on Lions Environmental Service. She lives with her husband, Roy Morris, at the mouth of the Hoko River, where it enters the Strait of Juan de Fuca in northwest Washington state, looking across the water to Vancouver Island. Since retiring as Director of Libraries, Media, and Technology for Bellingham Public Schools and Educational Consulting, she works on large-scale volunteer efforts, immersing herself in active local work, connecting work needs with committed workers. And this spring, the Clallam Bay CQ Lions will coordinate the Western Strait beach cleanups and marine debris reporting as part of the Washington coastal cleanups. As well, they will host the seed plant swap at the Hoko River State Park Heritage Garden, part of a sustainable agriculture project on the northwest edge of the Olympic Peninsula. Nancy's work mottos are think globally, act locally, and many hands make a load lighter. Isn't that the truth? She has believed since the 60s that we could change the world with our personal and community service. So, without further ado, let's welcome in our special guest, Dr. Nancy Messmer. Welcome to the show, Dr. Messmer.
Well,
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for being really so prompt.
We had good directions from Mila.
Yep. I tell you, I had to wake up very early just to make sure I do not miss this special broadcast of ours. Anyway, I hope that many Lions are listening today because of the fact that this particular special program deals, I would say especially for all Lions all over the world.
Yes.
And with that, let me just, for those who are non-Lions listening, let me just give a little, very short intro about Lionism. For example, our motto is "We serve," and you will know that. You will find out why we say we serve, And I would say that just so everybody knows, the Lions president's name today, the current one is Fabricio Oliveira. And of course, you will hear a lot about multiple District 19. And we will find out more. What is this, multiple district? So Nancy will be explaining all of that with the help of our producer, Daniel Bells. And I think we have also an intern today who's going to join us, I hope. But anyway, I'd like to get back to Nancy. And everyone is feel free to ask questions about it. But let me have Nancy start with, I call it part one, which we will call about global, Lions doing more globally as a summer. Okay, go ahead, Nancy, and we will be asking your questions.
Great. Okay. Well, Lions are all over the world in over 200 countries. It's one of the main reasons that my husband Roy and I joined the Lions was that. Can you hear me?
Yes, clear.
Oh, okay. I saw Bert adjusting your earphone. I wondered if you couldn't hear. Well, that's great. We joined the Lions because we really want to work locally in our own community, and we do that all the time. But if we join hands with Lions all over the world, then we know people in almost every country if we were to visit, and they would be people that serve their communities. So that's people we would like to go meet all over the world. And the environment is one of our 8 service goals. So in every country, Lions have 8 main goals that we work on. And the environment goal is to sustainably protect and restore our environment to improve the well-being of our communities. And then we have other goals as well, which are, I can always say them off the top of my head, except when I'm on live streaming. Here they are. So we started over 100 years ago with Helen Keller challenging the Lions to be the Knights of the Blind. So vision and helping people all around the world to be able to see better was one of our first goals. And then we've added more. We added work on hunger. We've always tried to assist the people around the world to grow food and distribute food. And then as well, we have a goal to help youth all around the world. And disaster relief is something that Lions have been known for a long, long time. We raise millions of dollars and we help millions of people around the world when there's a disaster. We're some of the first people that are on the ground. And we also work more in the recent years with both childhood cancer and diabetes, which are newer service goals to us and goals that we work on. And one of the reasons we work on diabetes is just that I don't know about the rest of the world, but if you walk around the United States, you would notice that there are a lot of people that are struggling with their weight and their health, and that we can definitely work on building good health among all our people, and we'll have a better world. I think I named them all.
So Nancy,
Yeah.
so Nancy, basically, as you mentioned, all of these 8 global, missions or goals of Lions. In a nutshell, or at least you could tell us, if you have it, the 8 global goals of Lions. You mentioned already some of them.
Okay,
But,
just like say the
go ahead.
word.
Yeah.
Childhood cancer, diabetes, disaster relief, the environment, humanitarian, hunger, vision, and youth. Those are our 8
Wonderful.
goals. Yeah.
Yes.
And today, of course, we will not be talking about all of the 7 other, I would say, goals, but we will concentrate on environment. So why is that so important nowadays?
This is where we could show that slide I was talking about.
Okay.
Whenever I introduce my speech to anybody, I always want everybody to have a picture of the globe in our mind.
Let's see if Danielle could show that. There
That's
you go.
it. That
Good
image,
job,
if we all
Danielle.
just take a minute to look at that, that is why we're working on the environment. There's only one Earth, and we all live on it together. And what we all want to do is hand it over to our children. This is slide number 2. We want to
Okay.
take our current Earth and hand it off to our children in pretty good shape. And so when I have a great granddaughter now, and I'd like to think that my great granddaughter can breathe fresh air and can go dive in the ocean and not think that she'll come up with a mouthful of poison or plastic, and that she would be able to drink fresh water and eat fresh food. And I think that probably parents and grandparents all around the world hope that for their children. So that's the main reason why I think around the world that we Lions are working on the environment.
I think that's wonderful. And of course, we know that there are 7 other goals that the Lions Clubs International would like, are actually tackling currently. However, for this special Earth Day, or one day is not enough, for Earth, we would be concentrating on our wonderful environmental issues, whatever problems they have. So we will go back to eventually we'll be talking about globalization, global efforts, togetherness. But as I kind of worked this guide, I said part 2 will be mostly concentrating on the wonderful work that our very own, including my club and everybody's club here in Washington, Idaho, Northern Idaho, and British Columbia, which is called the Multiple District 19. That's what we're going to be concentrating on. And I know that the first one that you will be talking about is about planting. And after you say a few words about planting, let me interject something also about what we did short. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, great. Well, in my Lions experience, the first international convention I went to was President Tam's convention, and he came from Hong Kong, and he challenged the Lions of the world to plant 1 million trees. And when all those district governors came from around the world, I got to stand at a table and say hello and ask them, how many trees are you going to plant in your district? And it was so heartwarming. It's one of those things that people could blow that off and go, oh, I don't know, thousands. But those people all stood there with their friends and they debated, where would they be planting trees? How many would it be? And then they wrote it down. And by the end of the day, we had thousands and thousands of trees in our minds of what we were going to plant. And at the end of that year, instead of planting 1 million trees, we Lions actually planted 3.4 million trees. And planting trees is just the start. And so Lions do a lot all over with Leos and multi-age people.
Can you explain, because I know, like, why is planting trees important? I know it brings oxygen to our earth, but can you, especially like our first time viewers here today, why is it important to plant trees?
Well, that is the gist, is that if we have an earth full of buildings and industrial plants, then we are just producing more and more CO2. And if we have more greenery and trees, then we absorb that CO2 and have more oxygen to breathe. I'm not a scientist. I'm a teacher and a social scientist, but that's how close I get to it.
Yes.
And because around the world we used to have an earth that was covered with trees or bushes or greenery, and now we seem to be cutting down the big stretches of jungle and forest like the Amazon, we're in trouble. So we want to plant more trees. And there's also a thing, I know you're going to say something about trees.
So Nancy, I was just going to say that when President Tam came here, he came directly, to our place here in Seattle. And I'm sure you were there at that time. And the Seattle Between Lions Club, my club, we really did a lot of tree planting in Strawberry Park. And we had Marmorillo members, our members of our club, all of us. We went up there and we dug, we planted. And not only that, because I know that after so many years, there were so many, I would say, other toxic weeds growing. So we had to almost every year in right about November, all of us would go there and kind of clean and maintain the trees. And now the trees are kind of, you watch me that song, see how big the trees have gone.
It's about time that we go back and take pictures of that. I was there for one of those, Bert. I came in, that picture of my husband and I in green jackets with a spruce tree. That was one of those.
Yes, I didn't know you then, but that's okay.
Yeah. And so what the really nice thing is, they split those trees in half and they put half in another county and half in Seattle. And that symbolizes why we need to do more than just plant trees. They'll mostly die if you don't go. Make sure that they're not overcome by weeds, and make sure they're in a place where they can get watered. And so that's a big part of planting and nurturing trees, because if you think about it as a multi-generational project, we want to be teaching our little kids and our teenagers that you don't just plant something and walk away, you nurture it. And that's a pretty good metaphor for how we develop our relationships as well. We nurture our relationships. Yeah.
That's true.
Exactly, like the earth. I mean, if we're taking care of ourselves, we need to take care of the earth, because we're just one earth that we belong to. But I also want to acknowledge our viewers today. Kuya Irving, of course, thank you for tuning in. Mom, Violet Navarro, Lori Freeman, thank you for tuning in. And of course, Ate Delor Allegrado, thank you for tuning in today this morning. Thank you.
Before you continue, I just wanted to ask, step back for 1 second and ask, what was it that made you decide to join the Lions? You've already been, members for years, but How did you get involved in it? Because I know a lot of people don't know that much about it. What motivated you to join this organization?
Well, when we moved here, we live in a really teeny little town that's almost at the northwest tip of Washington State. It's very remote. And we came here when my husband came to be the principal of the K-12 school. And I worked at the Macaw Reservation, which is the very northwest tip of the peninsula. I was a teacher, and then I was a librarian. And so there was a Lions Club here. And that's one of the cool things, is that if you go around Vancouver Island, I'm looking across the strait at Vancouver Island right now, that's one island. And if you look on a map, it doesn't look that huge. It has almost 50 Lions Clubs. And that's amazing. And so here in this really remote place, I wish I knew how few people we really have. We joined together in the Lions Club because we can cooperate and do good work in our community. And that felt really good. So that's what we keep doing. My husband's been in that Lions Club now about 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And when they let women in. So at first, the women were kind of helpers on the side, and now we're actually Lions. Yep.
No, actually, Nancy, my wife, and I, we have been like over 30 years now
Super.
as a member of the Lions.
Wonderful.
Norbert at one time was a member of our club, but because of his extracurricular activities, it's kind of hard, you know. But hopefully we could get more younger people because we're all growing. But anyway,
we have gray hair.
I was trying to invite Vicky also to become a Lion, but she is our community volunteer, and I wish we had time to show what she does in our community.
Yes.
Because
well, that would be a nice show to have in the future.
Yeah. And I just
you know
I just got into the climate equity task force for King County, so I'll be being the voice for our community, and it's just great to see that, you know, having you here, it's very honorful to see how much work the Lions have been doing for the last how many decades, and just to see how can we continue and, you know, bridge getting more youth involved and, you know, open opportunities for our younger generations as well.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what? That's basically one of the things that I have kind of made as one of the last ones, or would call it partnerships with other organizations, you know. But for now, for this part 2 on multiple District 19 things that they do, I was hoping that you could talk a little about this service organization, and then perhaps because of the numerous slides that you put in, we could flash in, maybe Danielle could do, you know, just flash it as you talk about all of these service things that we do. We could flash in the slide. And, okay, very good.
Yeah.
Let's.
As I started being an environment chair, I don't think it was really spelled out for us exactly. It hadn't been everybody's goal, so it's kind of a new goal when I started this, and so I started trying to come up with how to name what we do. So you could suggest to people some things they could do other than plant trees. And so one of the things that every Lions Club does is a recycling project, and that is to collect and redistribute and reuse eyeglasses and hearing aids. So that has been a project of Lions Clubs. Maybe some of you have seen these, but all around the United States and Canada, in drugstores and community places.
Hey, Dr. Messmer, I'm sorry I have to cut you off for a moment. Our producer Daniel just said that we got to cut to our remote guest who has a moment to talk live. So we're gonna have Daniel go ahead and cut to our special guest here for a special announcement.
Oh, we have a second, yeah.
Hey, this is Tony B. I am live here at the Duwamish River. We've been taking the Duwamish River tour, finding out a whole bunch of interesting things about this area and why it's a super fun site. Joining me is Danny Adels with King County Wastewater Wastewater Treatment Division. Tell us what you do.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danny Adaus, and I am a community outreach specialist with King County Wastewater Treatment Division. And my job is to talk to the community about a lot of the construction projects that we have going on, whether they're building up infrastructure or helping to clean up the river.
So, Danny, we've learned a whole lot today. Obviously, your department plays a key role in what was on here. What specific responsibilities does King County have in the Duwamish River cleanup?
So for the Duwamish River Superfund cleanup, our role is working with some other entities, some other jurisdictional partners in the area, including the City of Seattle and Boeing. And our job is to collaborate with them to clean up the river under the oversight of the Environmental Protection Agency. And that means that we design the cleanup and then hire a contractor and actually do the cleanup, which mainly involves dredging up the contaminated soils at the bottom of the Duwamish River Superfund site.
Now, there are a lot of different, this crosses a lot of boundaries that I guess you would say water doesn't care, air doesn't care. And so with that, how does King County coordinate its efforts with other involved parties such as the EPA, Port of Seattle, City of Seattle? That's a lot of folks to have to deal with.
Right. It is a lot of folks, and there are a lot of people at the table. That organization happens through the Lower Duwamish Waterway Group, and together that group is made up of, as I mentioned, King County, City of Seattle, Boeing, and also the EPA. They're also at the table. And that group, Lower Duwamish Waterway Group, LUDWIG for short, we coordinate all of the Superfund efforts, including the design and the community outreach and all of the source control, which means reducing the pollution that goes into the river. All of those efforts are coordinated through that group, and it's been ongoing for quite a while now. That group has been active for close to 2 decades now. And it's been a long time coming that we were actually getting into the river and doing the cleanup.
Now, something I learned today, Danny, if I'm not mistaken, is that what happens in our bathrooms, in our kitchens in South Seattle, spills over into the Duwamish River. That's what I learned today. How does King County, what does King County do to prevent contamination of the Duwamish River from these sources? And yeah, I didn't know that we may be contributing to the Duwamish Rivers.
Yeah, in addition to the Superfund cleanup, King County Wastewater Treatment also works on reducing the amount of pollution that goes into the river through combined sewer overflows. And that happens whenever it rains a lot and our wastewater treatment system doesn't have the capacity to move all of that extra water to the treatment plants, which is normally what happens. But yeah, we get a lot of rain, the pipes don't have enough capacity, and a lot of that pollution that's going in through that stormwater, which normally would get treated, ends up going into the river as a combined sewer overflow. And we are working really hard on a few different projects throughout the river to reduce those combined sewer overflows, those CSOs. We're we already added the Georgetown Wet Weather Treatment Station, which is located on 4th Ave. You might be familiar if you're going over from 99 to I-5, you drive right by it. That facility is already up and running, and it treats stormwater to reduce those combined sewer overflows. In addition to that, we're also building underground storage tanks, which can hold some of that extra water and prevent it from going into the river and then later being sent to the treatment plant.
What is King County doing to address legacy contributions from past wastewater disposal sites?
Yeah, I think that for past contributions, the main thing I can think of is the Superfund cleanup. As far as previous pollution from wastewater and combined sewer overflows, I think all we can do really is limit those events going forward. But for previous pollution, I think that there's not much that we can do at this point. But the cleanup of the Superfund is addressing previous pollution that is already kind of baked into the river.
What the historical waste management practices in King County may have contributed to the river's contamination?
Yeah, a lot of the the wastewater system of King County is that combined sewer system. And not all of Seattle and not all of King County is under a combined system, which just means that the stormwater and the wastewater go into the same pipes. But in the past, a lot of the neighborhoods around the river were built as combined sewer systems. And that contributed to pollution in the past. But by doing all of this, all these projects to increase the capacity of the system and to reduce the combined sewer overflows, we're helping to mitigate that going forward.
How can residents and community groups get involved in the cleanup process or provide input to King County?
Yeah, so for the Superfund cleanup, we have our website, ludwig.org, ldw.org, and you can go there for more information about the cleanup, and you can also go there to provide feedback and to just connect with us and share your thoughts about the cleanup process and what you would like to see more going forward, and to stay up to date on all of the updates that we'll be sharing with the community about the next stages of the cleanup, which is expected to go on for quite a while. We just wrapped up the first season of construction, and what that means is that we can only actually do cleanup in the river during a set time of the year, because otherwise we're impacting fish migration and fish habitat. So we're kind of limited to just the winter months for doing actual Superfund cleanup work. But we just wrapped up the first season, and we're likely going to be working for the next 10 years in the river. So if people want to stay up to date and get all those updates and just be in the know about the Superfund cleanup, you can check out ldw.org and sign up for updates.
Okay, well, Danny, thanks for your answer. I've been firing all these questions at you. If there's anything you'd like to say to our audience right now listening on Earth Day, let me give you an opportunity to do it.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say that we're working really hard to clean up the river, and we appreciate that this is Seattle's one river. This is our main river, and in the past, there's been a lot of pollution that's gone into it, and now we're undergoing a really long and hard process to clean it and to make it safe for folks to enjoy. One thing I'll add about that is a lot of people have questions about fishing and what is safe and not safe to do in the river. Right now, the recommendation is to, if you're going to fish, only fish and eat salmon, because the salmon only spend a certain amount of time in the river, as opposed to some of the other fish that live in the river full time and can accumulate more of those pollutants. So if you're going to be fishing in the Duwamish, fish for salmon.
You're going to fish in the Duwamish, fish for salmon. Other than that, the fish that stay here for a while might have some contaminants.
Yeah, might have some.
Oh, well, there you heard it. This is Earth Day. This is Rainier Avenue Radio. I'm Tony B. Danny, thanks for joining me. Earth deserves more than a day. And so we'll be doing this all week long, but we appreciate you taking your time. I want to remind you at 4 o'clock, we'll be back at the Columbia City Theater, and Alicia Mullican will be performing an indigenous dance Azteca called Tierra Mama. You don't want to miss that, so tune back in at 4 o'clock. Thanks, Lavera, for joining me here. And we're looking forward to, for the rest of the week, presenting you with opportunities to panel discussions and interviews and more to learn more about how you can become part of the solution for Earth Day. Earth deserves more than a day. Thank you.
All right.
Special thanks to Danny and Tony B, live from the Duwamish River. But for right now, we've got to take a quick break. So we'll be back with our special guest, Dr. Nancy Messmer, right after this.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at rainieravenueradio.world. Are you in need of new or gently used clothing? Hope's Community Closet is here to help. We offer a wide range of clothing for men, women, youth, children, and infants. Join us on the fourth Saturday of each month from 12:30 to 4 at the Silent Task Force. We're giving clothing with care, community with heart. Lovely Ladies Lemonade for sale, and shop to the sound of old school soul. Any questions? Contact Alicia Kennedy, Executive Director of Women United at 206-776-8255. 7601. 206-316-7601. Come and find the perfect outfit for you and your family. We look forward to seeing you there.
What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Queen Bree, inviting you to come join me on Clean Greens Living. Broadcasted Tuesdays, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. On Clean Greens Living, we talk farming, community, and ways to being healthy. So come join me and let's discuss ways to create a healthier you and a healthier community.
Do you want to reach out to the Vietnamese community in Seattle? Just advertise in Le Viet Tây Bắc, that is Northwest Vietnamese Media, the longest running Vietnamese language newspaper in our region. Go to nvnorthwest.com.
Hello, I'm Tony Young, and every week I will be your guide to the music of the Fab Four with my show With the Beatles. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, those four lads from Liverpool. First airings are Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. with repeats on Thursdays and Saturdays from 8 to 10 a.m. right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Tune in to catch Beatlemania.
Sing with us as we fill the historic Columbia City Theater with our voices. Join Crowdsource Choir on May 23rd for a soulful, participatory night of singing. Come raise the collective vibration with us at the Columbia City Theater. Tickets at crowdsourcechoir.com.
Ladies and gentlemen. Speak up, Seattle. We are Rainier Avenue Radio.world, the station that cares.
Don't forget. All right.
Welcome back to this special episode, this Earth Day special episode of Fil-Am Radio. My name is NorbCam Kawili.
Hi, everyone. Vicky Navarro here, reporting live from Federal Washington.
Ako po si Kuya Bert Kawili, broadcasting live from the Philippines.
Along with our special guest, Dr. Nancy Messmer.
You know what, Dr. Messmer? The cleanup of the Duwamish has always been, I would say, it started so many years ago. I was involved in that. My club was involved. We had to survey the river. We were in one of those lunches where they were explaining what they were going to do, you know, with all the super funds supposedly coming in and helping out. So it has been a long, long time of planning. And now I'm happy that more people are getting involved with it. That's what we call partnership. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I know that I mentioned the fact that for this broadcast, it's a special one. We normally have sports, we normally have Vicky reporting, but because of the time and of all the service projects, I was hoping you could talk about, and then we could flash what it is through your slides with Daniel's help. Then we could have a good idea of what the Lions here in multiple District 19 are doing. So let's concentrate on that next.
Yes.
Our next.
She was doing
back to your normal thing. Okay. Thanks, guys.
I would love to hear more of what you were saying earlier about the recycling eyeglasses and hearing aid program. What Lions is doing, and how can, as community be more involved, or how can community also get support as well? Thank you.
Well, with the eyeglasses and recycling, it's one of those projects that, of all the different projects that I have pictures of, that is the one project that almost every single Lions Club works on. And so the best way to find out more about what happens is talk to somebody that's in one of your local Lions clubs, like the fella here in the square here, Kuya. What's that stand for, Kuya?
Big Brother.
Yes. Oh, nice. I knew it was some kind of honorary term. Yes. But Bert and his Lions Club, have been really super contributors for a long time, and he's a good source of information on that. But the
Nancy, let
gist
me
of what
interrupt
we
you and let me try to explain what this eyeglass recycling, because that's one of our pet projects. We have Efren Pascua and Mar Murillo heading that committee on. So we have what you call LERC, LERC. That's the Lions Eyeglass, Recycling Center. And I was a member of the board for that one. And for many years, since 2007 until before the pandemic, I have been going to Jamaica through LERC, through Lions, where we give out all of those prescribed, used eyeglasses. So what we do in every optical shop, or when you change your glasses, you put the used one in a box with a name. For example, it says Mar Murillo or Seattle Bituion. Then we take those. Once it's full, they call us. We bring it up to Olympia, somewhere at south to the LERC, wherein, of course, we clean, we wash, we do everything, and then we discard if they have a lot of scratches. Then they put it on a meter and take the prescription. Then they write it down, they package it and then they ship it to other parts of the world.
Oh, wow.
Where people don't have glasses. So that's what I have been doing. I was a courier of that one. But what is most important is that just recently, Nancy, before, Washington will not accept, recycled glasses. But now I think they changed their law that you can now use, reuse prescription glasses, and that's a big change. But all these manufacturing optical companies, they didn't want people to be buying or using all of those recycled eyeglasses. But it's been a good program, and we still do it. We still collect. Every time we meet, we have a report of it. We have 1,000 glasses that we send out to LERC. But that's how we use those, recycled glasses.
That's awesome.
Yeah. If you think about it, there's so many people with glasses, and then they need to get a new prescription, and they just toss them in the garbage, and that's just more mounds and mountains of garbage. So to be able to actually clean them and categorize them and put them, it's pretty impressive to see all the boxes ready for the missions like Bert went on to go to different places, and people come up, they can't see, and they get fitted for glasses. And it's a wonderful way to recycle. And in this case, it's global. So it's a really wonderful program.
That's awesome.
So one of the service things that the Lions are unbelievably doing right now is tell us about this recycling plastic bags and
the Trex project.
Sheets. Yeah, the Trex project. That is really wonderful. So please elaborate on that one.
Okay. One of the kinds of plastic, you're probably hearing the word plastic already a lot, and we haven't even got to the part of the show about plastic.
Yeah.
Plastic started in our lives. My Bert and I remember when we didn't have plastic in this amount, and we used other things instead, like a lot of glass and aluminum. But now that we have so much plastic, there's been a story for a long time that it could all be recycled. And there's even a little symbol that some of us think means that a lot of it can be recycled. And in actual fact, there's only two kinds of plastic that can be actually recycled, and they can only be recycled once. So really, there's another solution, which is use less of it or produce less of it. But the Trex project is one that has caught the attention of lots of service groups in the United States. And so when we go to the grocery store, even though we might not have big plastic bags to carry stuff in, we all have produce bags, and that's all called sheet plastic. Anything that's flexible, and like everything that gets shipped from one place to another, cars, boats, refrigerators, is wrapped in plastic, sheet plastic. And so normally that just goes right to a landfill. But the Trex company produces decking and furniture, a lot of things that they recycle that plastic of the plastic bags into, and the Lions program, they recycle them into benches. And so now you might see in different places that the Lions have placed benches in all kinds of public places for people to enjoy having a place they can sit down. And then we also enjoy the fact that that's not mountains of plastic being put directly to a landfill.
Do we have any slide that might show the tracks?
There is one about the benches. it's a ways from now. Oh well, let me get through a couple and we'll get to that. It's about 6 slides from there.
Okay.
But there is a slide about that. I was thinking that I know we're sort of running out of time, and that I could oftentimes when I give speeches about what we do, I kind of go through this in a real speedy way so that we have a big overview of the kind of projects. And because I imagine Daniel has these in order of the way the slideshow was, it might be fastest to just kind of race through them. Is that all right?
Yeah, we have devoted this whole program to you only. Like I said, we have reformatted our show.
I know you have, and I sure appreciate that.
All of what you can tell us all about lions and how they solve the environmental problems. Yeah.
Well, let's do this. Let me kind of say the title of a kind of thing we do, and we'll show a picture long enough that you can actually see it, and then we'll move on to the next one and the next one. Should we do that?
Yes,
okay.
please.
So one of the things that we do, and that's how we got to this point, is that we do collect and recycle glass, aluminum, metal, paper, even styrofoam sometimes. That's a hard one. And then we also repurpose and rebuild items. This is kind of a big thing that we do. And one of those things, if we could play that slide, that's called repurpose and rebuild items, it gives us a set of choices that we can think of. Like if you're standing in a store and you're thinking to yourself, what should I do? It says, first of all, rethink what you have in mind. Instead of impulse shopping, rethink it and maybe even refuse it. And if you can, reduce your use of this thing and then possibly refurbish it. Your old stuff. Try to fix it up so that you keep using it, not give it to a landfill. But if you do give it away, at least give it to a place where someone else can use it and maybe repair it or repurpose it. So a lot of things, if you're a creative person, we've had several really creative Lions that take things that started out being for one thing and they make them into some usable item, which is really a nice thing to do. And then our last choice is recycle and get it into the recycling stream. So to build on that, another thing we do is that we collect and reuse items in our community. And Lions have a lot of rummage sales, and they run thrift stores, and they do winter coat drives, and they do flea markets. So the goal of all of that is if you're through with something and it's in good shape, don't just put it in the landfill. Actually, just give it around your community. And sometimes we find ways to give things away, and sometimes we sell them for some nominal amount of money. But Lions do a lot of sort of moving things around the community. Is this a thing we could have pictures of? Daniel?
I hope Danielle could show the slides of some of the things that we're doing.
So now I'm getting to the one where a real interesting thing that Lions do is collect and repair and distribute durable medical equipment, things like wheelchairs and walkers and canes and any kind of special gear that people get for a short period of time when they need it, but then it's not trash, it's reusable. So they collect a lot of things like that. And they have, like in Bellingham, there's a wheelchair warehouse. But in many cities, Lions are partners with other community groups, and Vicky might know about this, oftentimes partner with public health groups to be able to have people kind of check out those things for as long as they need them. And then they get them back and they clean them up and they give them out again. And then we do restore a lot of buildings and monuments. And so if our buildings are getting all run down, instead of just, I don't know if you've gone by either a building being demolished and or go into the dump and look at the piles of construction materials that are there, and they're all reusable. So this is something that some Lions clubs are really active. Oh boy, thank you very much. So these are some examples. So this is a case in the Mount Rainier Lions. Their clubhouse was falling apart, so they remodeled it. And in Gig Harbor, the Lions had this wonderful display. They call it a view climb, where you climb up and then you can have a big, beautiful view. And it wasn't safe anymore, so they raised a lot of money and they rebuilt it. And then some Lions in Canada made views out over a waterway, and they both built it and they maintain it, and they work with their highway department to make sure it's always safe. And then we also create ways for people to get to natural areas. Like in Canada, some other Lions built this big, beautiful pedestrian overlook. And this is something that people in a wheelchair or with a cane can come out and be part of this view of the lake. And then the Cosmopolis Lions in this other picture built ADA accessible benches along the Chehalis River Parkway. So there was a nice trail and people could take walks, but in this case, they built benches. And so that was a really neat one. Now we're coming on a neat project too. We really advocate for and create sustainable food production. So this means that we try to create gardens everywhere. We try to make school community gardens. We try to make gardens in parks. We try to create citywide compost programs. In Wisconsin, the Lions created a whole statewide compost program, because instead of just throwing away the waste from our kitchens, they actually issued everybody a kitchen composting outfit. And then I think they might have issued them yard composting. And so everybody composts everything, and then you collect it all and make it into mulch that people can use on their gardens. Gardens in schools are a really wonderful project, because you have kids not only working to plant gardens, but also to tend them and weed them and harvest them. And they get to take actual healthy food home. So this is an up and coming kind of project that Lions do in many, many places. And then we also create all kinds of gardens. So there's another slide here that's called community gardens, from small to large. And up in Canada, one community, they set up a partnership with a neighborhood, and then they create with the neighbors, they bring in their lions, and they actually have young lions, middle-aged lions, and older lions, and everybody works on it. But some of them are really strong young folks, and some of them are strong older folks. But they build these gardens with neighbors, and then they come back once a year and help the neighbors maintain it. And that way, you're embedding gardens in lots of places. Okay, this is a different one. All right, so same point here. We Lions sometimes plant rain gardens. This is a big deal in Seattle, planting rain gardens, a way to try and catch our excess water And instead of having it just run out, to catch that water and use it productively. And then a kind of fun thing is that some lions have created sensory gardens. So the point with a sensory garden is to try and create a space where people can go in, and that besides the kind of sense of contemplation and peacefulness you get in a garden, they set up fun things like the kids in the middle that are taught. One guy's talking into this. It's like when we held the strings between cans and we talked to each other as kids. So they're talking. They're getting the sense of talking and hearing. Sometimes you have very fragrant flowers in a sensory garden. And so lions do all kinds of work trying to create more of these areas that are good for the air, filter out the CO2, and then welcome people in. Another thing that we work on is assisting food redistribution efforts. So during COVID, a big project we had was going and gathering food from farms, bringing it to neighborhoods and distributing it. And so that was quite a big Lions project in little towns and big towns. And then we have food banks like the Snohomish Food Bank gathers up the food, and then they have scheduled times when they distribute the food. The Lions in District C, which used to be Tacoma, Puyallup, that area, got a lot of fruit from Eastern Washington, brought it over, made it into distributable amounts, and then people would come and pick it up. And then some Lions regularly cook up meals and serve them to various people. Really a good project. I think we might be on tree chipping. Might be our next one. And this is a case where there's a lot of people that, one, are cutting down trees, or two, celebrating Christmas with Christmas trees. And many Lions sell Christmas trees, but even a cooler thing is sometimes Lions collect those and chip them. And then you have mulch that you can spread on all the gardens. And it makes something that might get tossed into a landfill where it doesn't belong, and all chipped up and used productively. And
excuse me, Nancy, excuse me. Norb,
we got to do another station break here. So we'll be back with our special guest, Dr. Nancy Messmer, right after this. Don't go away.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Don't forget to log on www.RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Sediment cleanup of the lower Duwamish River has begun. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the members of the Lower Duwamish Waterway Group, which includes King County, the City of Seattle, and Boeing, have begun sediment cleanup of the Lower Duwamish Waterfall Superfund site. This important environmental project will address sediment pollution and help restore the health of the Duwamish River. Starting on the waterway's upper reach, construction activities extend from the South 102nd Street Bridge down straight to the Duwamish Waterway Park. Over the next 3 years, in-water activities will occur from October to February, ending in February 2027. Visit ldwg.org to learn about the upper reach cleanup and sign up for email updates.
What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Queen Bree, inviting you to come join me on Clean Greens Living. Broadcasted Tuesdays, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. On Clean Greens Living, we talk farming, community, and ways to being healthy. So come join me and let's discuss ways to create a healthier you and a healthier community.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, it's Traffic Jam with Kareem.
Thursday at 4 p.m.
Hey, Traffic Jam. Rainier Avenue Radio, download the app so you don't miss out what's popping on Crackers Shining. It's your boy, Cream the Dream, on another beautiful week on here on Traffic Jam in Seattle. I hope you guys doing what you're supposed to do, being you're supposed to be. I got a good show for y'all, a lot to talk about, Kareem the Dream, keep up with everything.
Get your entertainment news with Kareem on the Traffic Jam, Thursday at 4 p.m.
Alam mo bang 5 segundo ang kailangan upang magbasa ng karaniwang text message? Na parang saglit lang, pero kapag nagmamaneho ka, sa loob ng 5 segundong yun, katumbas na ng 15 kotse ang naandar mo. At napakaraming pwedeng mangyari kapag hindi ka nakatingin sa daan ng 5 segundo. Bago ka magsimulang magmaneho, ilayo ito sa'yo upang mapaghandaan mo ang anumang darating. Tumutok lang sa daan. Sama-sama tayong makakarating sa paroroonan. Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at rainieravenue.radio.world.
Welcome back to the special edition, the Earth Day edition of Rainier, or I should say Fil-Am Radio. I'm Norb Kawili from Renton, Washington.
Hi, everyone. Vicky Navarro here from Federal Way, Washington.
Jose Kuya Bert Kawili, broadcasting from the Philippines.
And of course, our special guest, Dr. Nancy Messmer.
You know what, Nancy? As you said, time really goes too fast. Now we're on our 25 minutes, and you haven't even touched much of all the activities that Lions are doing.
I know, that's why I was thinking I should do it speedy. I can be even faster. Should I be even faster?
No, that's okay. You're doing fine. I only regret that we could not show all of the slides and all of the things that all the Lions are doing all over. And I would like to maybe suggest that at this time we could play that 2-minute video that you suggested.
Sure.
I hope Daniel is ready for that. Okay. You think?
When natural disasters strike, lives are our first concern. It is often months or years later before we realize the full extent of the environmental damage. After a tsunami ravaged Japan's northeast coast in 2011, the debris traveled across the Pacific Ocean to the west coast of the United States and Canada.
We're the recipient of a dock that was ripped out of the harbor in Japan and came all the way across. It took about a year and a half for it to get here.
Environmentalists were concerned about the impact of non-native plants and organisms, as well as plastics and other materials that could harm local fish and birds.
Marine debris is one of the biggest challenges that the ocean faces. It kills marine animals, it interferes with navigation, and it impacts commerce.
Lions decided to partner with other environmentally conscious groups to form Coast Savers. These volunteers clean the coastline of the Pacific Northwest twice a year.
The partnerships are critical.
Thank you.
All of the groups that can do some good on their own combine efforts and are able to do a much greater good for a lot more people.
With the ocean bringing in tons and tons of debris, the task of keeping our beaches clean is a real challenge.
More than 1,000 volunteers participated in the spring cleanup, including Lions from across the state of Washington and Canada.
We're out here really protecting the environment.
I became a Lion because it's a beautiful world. I want to keep it that way.
It's a big project, but I think if we all join together and get people involved, we'll find that the world will become a better place.
Lions want to extend their reach to make this a global effort.
We're very hopeful that we will be able to connect Lions around the world as well as the people that live around the entire Pacific Ocean.
Doing the environmental projects is really important because we have one Earth and we need to keep it as clean as we can. I mean, we're not going to get a second chance. So everyone needs to do their part.
Wow.
Oh, that was a good intro to my, I call it part 3, the maritime debris, especially what happened in Japan, when they had this big tsunami. You could see from the video that after 1 year, all this big kind of building came and finally reached the U.S. and all the efforts. You could elaborate more on maritime debris, maybe, Nancy?
Sure. Just a message to Daniel. If you could go to the end slides where there's one that says we are all connected. The gist of this story is that if you picture that globe, on that globe, we are all connected by the ocean. There's only one ocean and lots of continents and lots of people on the land, but we have one ocean that joins us all together. And what that tsunami impacted us, how that tsunami impacted us is that I live pretty close to the coast of Washington State, and way across the Pacific Ocean in Japan, they suffered a terrible earthquake and tsunami. And it took years, as the superintendent of the Marine Sanctuary was saying there, it took years for a lot of the material to get over here, but a lot of it did. And it was something that people studied for years. What floats, what sinks, where does it all go? And then what happens to it when it comes onto somebody else's coast? And what it started among us in Washington State is that we started a group called Washington Clean Coast Alliance. The Lions were part of it. And the nickname, or the web handle, was coastsavers.org. And the point was to get lots of partners, which is what Lions do when we want to do the big things, like clean the Duwamish River. And in this case, we worked with a lot of partners who are the stewards of the land, perhaps governmental, like Washington State Parks or Olympic National Parks or the Sanctuary, or Surf Rider Organization, or Lions. And we clean the beaches on Earth Day, and International Coastal Cleanup Day is the third Saturday in September. And unfortunately, on July 5th, when a whole lot of people think that a place to shoot fireworks is into the ocean. But the point of all of this is that it gets us to this question: why would we do beach cleanups? And we do beach cleanups because not only our beaches need cleaning, our rivers need cleaning, our lakes need cleaning, every waterway needs cleaning. And this is something that we can do either, oh, thank you, Daniel. That's the one I had in mind. Just, look for a second at that globe. That we don't get that globe unless we go out to space, but it clearly communicates that we are mostly ocean, and there's only one of those. And so we need to take care of it. And so we Lions, we do a whole lot of organized cleanups. We clean parks and maintain them. We clean trails. We clean our civic areas. We regularly clean up our post offices and our train stations and old people's homes. And we're pretty good at cleanup, but we really also are good and need to think about cleaning up our waterways. And so what we've done in this case in Washington State is that we clean up the beaches, and then if you think about a beach, like this is a picture that tells a story here, that this little bird is away in a remote place, and look at the plastic there. These beaches really need cleaning, and they're not self-cleaning. They need Lions and others to take action to help our communities. And so if you picture seabirds, there are many seabirds that are flying in the air, and the way they feed is they dive down and get food. And if they see something red, especially, they think it's food. So they take it in. It's in them before, they can try to digest it. And so they die. And so what we find oftentimes is dead animals because they're eating plastic instead of food. And so one of the things we do to try and teach people about what is happening on beaches is that we collect everything. So we have those bags. Unfortunately, they're plastic bags. Sometimes they're buckets we reuse. We bring everything in, we dump it all out, and then we try to sort it, and we try to name it. What have we found? And I discovered as we were doing that, one, it was icky. If you pick up all that debris on the beaches, it's full of seaweed, and it's wet, and it's heavy, and but you start if you sort it out and you try to say, what is this? And then you chart it. The Ocean Conservancy runs the International Coastal Cleanup, and they have a worldwide map. And the worldwide map shows every place a registered cleanup is happening, and you can turn in all your data. I found 5,000 pieces of little plastic. I found 3,000 plastic drink bottles. I found all these things that we find. And anymore, what we find when we counted it all up is it's largely plastic. So one of the big stories nowadays is that we people who live on dry land find ourselves making choices about plastics. And so you may or may not know that right now the United Nations and the United Nations Environment Program is trying to devise a plastics treaty. And so plastics bring us to a point where we try to answer questions. What can I do in my life with plastic? What can I do in my community? And what can I do globally? And so what we can do globally right now, I'm starting with the big one instead of the little one. What we can do as people around the world is that we can support the creation of a binding plastics treaty. And a couple of years ago, the countries of the world got together and decided we're going to make a plastics treaty. And they started out in Nairobi, Kenya, with a big statue, which Daniel might be able to find that picture. It's called Turning Off the Tap. They made a huge, bigger than life, considerably bigger than life statue made out of all found marine debris and plastic. And the point is, turn off the tap on plastic. So a thing we want to do as a whole globe, that's the deal. United Nations Environment Project wrote this great report, which anybody out there who'd like to educate yourself on this problem of plastic in our world, you can just type in turning off the tap, and maybe you'd have to say United Nations Environment Program. But there's a whole big plan on how we might go about doing this. They ran out of time. They had 2 years. They gathered. They tried to hammer this out. As you can imagine, you've got fossil fuel companies on one side, and then you have all the rest of the people on the other side saying, we have too much plastic and we need to do something about it. So a thing we can do is we can all find out about it, and we can talk to our legislators and say, let's try and pass that. The other thing we can do in our communities is we can try to work on projects like we mentioned before, collecting all the sheet plastic. We can try to do something in our own lives. Like, it's a very challenging thing. A fellow wrote a Reader's Digest article called A Day Without Plastic. And he planned for months and months and months. He planned how to have an average workday. Well, he's a reporter, and he knew he could be sent on any kind of story. But he tried to have a day without plastics. So he tried to have alternatives to everything in his life. And if you think right now, I'm looking around my living room, I'm looking outside, about half the things I see are made out of plastic. I'm working on a computer.
That's true.
With plastic. I have a cell phone with plastic. I have a pen that's made out of plastic. There is hardly anything. My glasses are made out of plastic.
Even if you try to go camping and get away from modern civilization, if you have a tent, well, that's going to be made out of plastic too.
It
Most
is,
likely,
and our
right?
clothes.
It's really hard to get away from it.
The distressing thing is that there's a whole movement now against fast fashion. We have a kind of a deal that in the old days, people would get clothing made out of more natural materials like silk or cotton or something, even rayon. But nowadays, if you buy clothes, they are polyester, plastic. And so we end up buying, and then they're cheap. So clothing is cheaper, and we buy more of it, and then we toss it away. Some of us hopefully circulate it around our communities, but we have so many challenges on how to deal with plastic and our environmental issues. that to get back to this notion of what we're trying to do as Lions is that I think it comes down to we look at our own selves and our lives and our families, and we say to ourselves, okay, well, this is Earth Day and Earth Week and Earth Month, and it's the 55th year we've had Earth Day, to kind of take a look at our lives and our planet, see what shape we're in. And you could get very discouraged trying to ask yourself the question, well, what shape are we in? But you can also try to say, all right, what am I doing in my life? What things can I do where I contribute to what's good? How can I be planting plants? How can I be planting food? How can I be working with people in the community to try and reuse things? What kind of systems can we make? And we can go forward with working with other people in our communities. So that's a hallmark. I think we're going on to partnerships. Partnerships are the hallmark of what Lions do. We're pretty powerful people as Lions. A lot of Lions stick to it. I know Bert sticks to it, and I stick to it. If I say I'm going to do something, I was supposed to tune it at 12:50. I press the button right exactly at 12:50. If I'm supposed to go pick up marine debris on the beach, or I do surveys on the beach as a citizen scientist, I say I'm going to go, I go there. So we have 75-year-olds like me that stick to it, but we're shrinking in our population because of our years. So we have two people at the top of my screen that are much younger, and we need to have partnerships that are multi-age. We need to figure out ways to draw in families. Many Lions clubs, we do specialty clubs now. There was a Lions club in perhaps Renton. I'm trying to think where it was. Somewhere in your two territory, that it was a family Lions club. And they actually met in their local police station that had a meeting room. They met once a week, and it turned out that the mothers of the group usually did kind of the business, and the policemen would take care of the kids, and then they would all go out and do a family project with dads and moms and kids, and they did service projects that way. And that was the way they set up their club. And so Lions have specialty clubs. Sometimes the specialty is they're all in the medical field, or they're all sports fans. And then other Lions are more traditional. In my club, we are in all walks of life, but we're getting too old. So we are working on being multi-generational.
So Nancy, you know what? I'm so sorry that we only have so much time in this program and so many things to talk about. And that's why I said, I hate to have all our regular things, the sports, Vicky's, the community service, and all of those good things, the songs, the birthday songs. We had to kind of cut them off for this. And we only have right now about 5 minutes or 6 minutes before we could say goodbye. And normally we would start by saying our goodbyes now. And all I could say, let me start by saying I really appreciate you taking time to be able to at least tell us what Lions are doing in helping the environment. And I just hope that, I know you have invited so many Lions to be able to watch this broadcast, and I hope that they did. I even also invited my own club, and what else can I say except, where there is a need, there's a lion. And I'm proud
Did you
to be
see
a
that's
lion.
what I have on my shirt?
There you go. Okay, guys. So, Norb, you want to start or continue? 'Cause we only have
no,
so many minutes,
I know
4 minutes.
the time really went by fast today. Obviously, not enough time to cover everything, but appreciated getting to have this special episode with you and getting to know the different activities and a little bit of your background of how you got into doing what you do now. And yeah, there's just a slight side story. There was when we were in our cruise in the Philippines over the winter. They went to a park and in the Philippines, and they created a Christmas tree shape out of a bunch of green 2-liter plastic bottles. You can't tell from a distance. It just looks like a beautiful green, tree shaped. And you look up and say, "Whoa, these are all plastic." So I thought, wow, kudos to them for thinking of a way to use this, potential landfill garbage into something beautiful and decorative. They did a whole bunch of stuff using plastic. So anyway, I thought about you when you showed that picture, as well as the other things that you're doing. So I appreciate you taking the time to enlighten all of us and our viewers out there of what we can at least do on our smallest level to try to help do our part to help keep the world clean.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to also say thank you to also our viewers, Lorelai and also Myrna, for also joining our program today. It's great to see the viewers here today and learn about the environmental work that the Lions have been doing, from cleanups, from create gardens in schools, from even running a rummage sale and reading books to kids. So that there is a lot of opportunity for the Lions in all ages and ways that we can support our community, and lending a hand and sharing your love of our earth that we need to take care of, because it goes off to our younger generations. And this is, if it's going to start, let it start now, and they've been doing the work for decades. So, if you're listening here and you have a heart and you have a team of, whether it's neighbor, friends, or families, even like youth groups, let's get connected with the Lions Club, with other Kuya Bert or Dr. Nancy Messmer. Thank you for joining us today. There is so much. This is another show, another decade of information of the work that you do here. It's a lot, especially the multiple districts of 19. As I see here, we didn't even, like you said, Kuya Bert, we didn't even touch a lot of it, but just sharing of what you have started to share with us, you can, there's hopefully more opportunity to have you back and share how we as a community can work together. So thank you so much.
And before I let our special guest do her closing remarks, I just want to say thank you to Danielle.
Yes.
Because Nancy sent him tons of information, and I'm so glad that he was able to sort it out and be able to, put on screen some of the things. So thank you, Danielle. And now, Nancy, your closing remarks as we will about to say goodbye and do our closing prayer.
Well, thank you very much, Lion Bert, for coming and seeing all our displays and saying, I think this would work in our show. And thank you all for having such a wonderful show. I was so happy to join you last week and know that you create this really wonderful, connected, kind family feeling among yourselves. And it is very nice. And I was looking forward to being able to come. For our viewers, if people want to know more about what we do as Lions, they're on a Facebook page. We have an MD19 Environment Committee Facebook page, and there we try to post a lot of this information. So thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm grateful to be with you. And happy Earth Day then.
Do our closing prayer, Norb?
Yeah. Dad, you're ready to do the honors? Take it away.
Yeah. So let's bow our head. Ama namin, purihin ang iyong pangalan. Nagpupuri po kami at nagpapasalamat sa mga dakilang biyaya, buhay, lakas at subaybay na ipinagkaloob mo sa amin mula sa oras na ito hanggang sa wakas ng aming buhay. Amen. In translation, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. We praise and give thanks for all the blessings, life, strength, and guidance that you have given us from this hour until the rest of our life. Amen.
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 And with that, we say again, thank you very much. Thank you, team. That
Yes.
includes Daniel, of course, and his intern. Thank you so much. So we're now going to say goodbye. Bye.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Messmer. And but don't go away because we've got programming right after this. Daniel, do we have real estate and money? Oh, we have other things, announcements. Real quick before we wrap up. Earth deserves more than a day upcoming schedule. Of course, we just had our Fil-Am Radio Show, but 1:30 and 2:30 more Duwamish River live tour updates at 4 p.m. The El Sueño presents Alicia Mulligan, a dance performance. And then Wednesday at 9 a.m., equitable and accessible outdoor spaces. And right after that at 10 a.m., the Wednesday morning update. So, and continuing along, Wednesday, April 23rd at 11 o'clock to noon, mitigating climate change through a stable local food system. And then at 2:30 to 3:30, co-building resilient and inclusive communities. And then wrapping up the day on Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m., Healthy Earth, Healthy You. We got more? We have more. Thursday, 10 a.m., morning update with Tony and Lavera Brown, 1 to 3 o'clock, Circular Economy Business Park, 2:30 to 3:30, Communities and Clean Water, 4:30 to 7, Utopia, Tabling, at 4:30 to 7, King County Metro Youth Mobility Program, 4:30 to 5:30, Youth Storytelling Workshop, and 6 to 7, Youth Leaders in Environmental Justice Panel Discussion. So many things going on. And look at Friday on April 25th. Earth definitely deserves more than a day. At 10 o'clock, morning updates with Tony B. and Lavera Brown, 11 a.m. to 11:45, partnering with immigrant and refugee communities on safer fishing with King County Water and Land Resources. Noon to 1, local elected officials discuss environmental justice. 1:30 to 2:30, Sweet Home Poetics with Casey Hazardous Waste, King County Hazardous Waste, that is. 3 to 4 p.m., Rent Smart Repair Issues and Landlord Duties. And 4:30 to 5:30, Journey to a Cleaner Tomorrow. Is there more, Daniel? There is more. Wait, there's more. Friday, continuing on, 5:30 to 7:30. We have the closing ceremonies, live performances, games, networking, drinks, and refreshments. And then finally, Saturday, April 26th from 9 a.m. to noon, the volunteer event at Community Resources at Skyway Park. There you go. Earth definitely deserves more than a day, a whole week devoted to it, courtesy of Rainier Avenue Radio. For Fil-Am Radio, I'm NorbCam from Renton, Washington. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.